Fox News' Tucker Carlson calls for violence against LGBTQ plus supportive teachers and doctors.
Phenomenon for what it is. They believe it's some kind of political movement, somehow related to the liberation struggle for trans rights, and therefore something you're not allowed to complain about or you're a bigot, and all the moms think you're bad. But it's not a liberation struggle. There is no liberation struggle. The battle for trans rights is long over. Trans people have rights. They can dress any way they like. And not only is that entirely legal, most Americans have no interest whatsoever in interfering with it at all. This is a fundamentally live and let live country, and it always has been. That's the deal we've always had. You do your thing, I'll do mine, and we'll both leave one another alone. And the overwhelming majority of the American population still favors that. Republican, Democrat, Independent, everybody's for that. But that's not what this is at all. These are not people who want to leave you alone or your kids alone. These are weirdos getting creepy with other people's children. That's exactly what it is. Say it. Say it. That's what it is.
Fox News host Tucker Carlson called for violence against LGBTQ plus and ally teachers on his show last night, saying, quote, "Neighborhood dads should mete out instant justice to anyone who even thought about sexualizing their kids," end quote. Carlson wasn't exactly sure what he was talking about. The news segment opened with him talking about sex education in schools, which apparently includes teaching about different kinds of families. But as the segment proceeded, he brought up anti-LGBTQ plus realtor Chaya Rychik, who goes by Libs of TikTok online. Rychik usually shares videos of LGBTQ plus teachers talking about non-sexual topics, like coming out to their classes and pronouns and things that aren't even sex education related. In another part of the segment, Carlson also discussed doctors who work with trans children, claiming that they're castrating kids, even though gender-affirming surgery is not performed on trans minors. Carlson put all these things together along with child sex abuse and called it, quote, sexualizing children, end quote, and said that they had the same results. He went on to say that mentioning LGBTQ plus people in the presence of children has the same long-term effects that child sex abuse does. He added, quote, "The reality of all of this behind the euphemism is horrifying. It's sexualizing children," end quote. It is incredibly disappointing, and I'm using as good a word as I can use with my good Christian values to suggest that discussing trans issues is the same as rape, as sexual violation, because that's what he did, and that's what he suggested in this interview, or in this segment last night.
Tucker Carlson no longer bothers to even connect the dots. He just goes from dot one to the finish and says, look, it's so clear. But in the end, it's not clear because no picture has been drawn out. It's just saying, this is bad. And by the way, and I'm never going to, I hate this sounding like I'm equivalating sexualizing children, but let's be honest. What was it? Toddlers and Tiaras, Honey, Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, right. Myriad other shows. Put children, but it's in a heterosexualization light. There's, it's okay for, men to look at 10 preteen tween girls, and nobody says a word about that. Basically what they're saying is gay is the lesser, trans is to be feared. That's all this is saying, because we're not sexualizing kids, but there are a whole lot of shows out there that are sexualizing young women, and you can watch randomly any show on investigative discovery and you're going to find that.
That's right. And he uses the word creepy, and I'm just wondering am I the only one that thinks it's creepy that a bowl of room temperature vanilla pudding incel such as Tucker Carlson is obsessed with sexualizing children? Sometimes I think his obsession with this maybe lies something, maybe he's more interested in that maybe he's hiding something about his own interest in sexualizing children, the he doth protest too much thing.
Well, he protests and his writers protest. Like I've said before, I have friends at all of the major cable channels, the news channels. Not only has primetime infiltrated daytime programming and how they spin news and facts, the writers that they hire for Hannity's show, for Tucker's show, they're the ones feeling, they're almost like the legal clerks at the Supreme Court. They're the ones that really write the opinion, even though Tucker Carlson's name goes on it. So they're hiring people to take them in this direction. I have a feeling the person who wrote this has probably never even met a trans person before.
You know, it's interesting to me, to the observation that you started our segment with, which is he just moves from one issue to the other and doesn't even try to connect the dots. One of the things that I thought about at that moment is that's a good illustration of what Fox is so successful at. You know, if you're going to be more educated as a viewer, be more educated as a viewer. The criticism that Fox News gets is Tucker Carlson is just going on one tirade after another without connecting any dots to come to whatever conclusion he wants to. But unfortunately, so are the vast majority of their viewers. They don't care about the connection of the dots. They hear the soundbite, and that's good enough for them. Trans is bad. I heard trans is bad, so therefore, let's have violence against the trans.
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.